AITA for not inviting a stranger our pastor told us to invite over for Christmas Eve with just my husband and I, by Arya Summer. So this a throwback, and the people involved besides my husband are no longer a part of my life at all. But therapy is weird, and while working through something else entirely, the memory of this situation popped out from wherever it was, laying dormant in my brain and hasn't gone away since. So I shall ask you, oh dear citizens of Reddit, AITA here? Or was the pastor out of pocket? Let me set the scene. It is Christmas Eve, early 2000s. It is below freezing outside, and snow is blowing lightly around. My husband and I are alone, but will be going to visit family the next day. We used to have our celebration on Christmas Eve, just us, then go to the big family event the next day. There was a guy our pastor was helping out, around 20 years old. My spouse and I were early 20s as well. The only thing the pastor knew for certain about us was we didn't have kids, and we didn't have plans for Christmas Eve that involved other people. Or maybe he didn't know the second part and just assumed? Unclear. Anyway, Hubs and I went out for our annual Chinese food meal, and to hang out looking at Christmas lights, then planned to watch a movie or something at home. While out at dinner, husband got a call from our pastor, telling him that he'd sent the guy we didn't know, we'll call him Brian, to our house because we weren't doing anything, and thought we should be kind and share our Christmas Eve with the man. Let me be so clear that this was never discussed prior. Well, he sent the guy to our house on a dang bicycle in freezing temperatures and was irate when we didn't leave our food to go visit with Brian. We were lectured about Christian love, and how we were not being good Christians by not inviting Brian along. What? So we eventually go home. Brian is on our couch. Presumably he was told to just go in. We lived way out in the country, so the doors weren't locked. I'm shaking with anger. I tersely said goodnight and went to bed, because I was not dealing with a relative stranger when my little introverted heart had been promised one night of peace out of the week of chaos. All of this was reported back to the pastor by Brian, who was so hurt and put out by us not being there when he arrived. I thought nothing of it honestly, until months later I asked the pastor for a letter of recommendation, which he willingly gave, only to find out he wrote horrible things about my character and my uncharitable nature. Based, I can only assume, on that event, since I served regularly at the church and helped quite a lot of people, if I'm being honest, which this pastor would have known. So, am I the asshole?
Top comment by judgment_bot_AITA 1 hour ago. Welcome to /r/aim I the asshole. Please view our voting guide here. https://www.reddit.com/r/wiki/FAQ #wiki what 2019's_with_these_ acronyms 3F_what_do_they_ mean 3F, and remember to use only one asterisk judgment in your comment. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole, and GT. I was unwilling to have a relative stranger over to visit on Christmas Eve at the last moment. The guy was told to come over by the pastor and was left sitting in the cold for a while after riding his bike in freezing temps for a few miles. Help keep the sub engaging. #don't downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click here for our rules. https://www.reddit.com/r/aim@the-assholes/about/rules and click here for our FAQ. https://www.reddit.com/r/aim@the-assholes/wiki/FAQ #subreddit announcements. Follow the link above to learn more. Hi, I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. https://www.reddit.com/message/compose/2=r/aim@the-asshole. If you have any questions or concerns. Times contest mode is 1. 5 hours long on this post. Asterisk.
Comment number 2 by Kind of Blue Screws 1 hour ago. Weird how Jesus stood at the door and knocked and waited for consent, but your pastor apparently had no idea what consent is and felt so entitled to volunteer your time and home and safety. Why the hell didn't he take Brian in? WTF.
Someone responds to comment number 2 by the original poster, because apparently his family time is more valid than mine since we didn't have kids. Also, we were the same age as Brian, so obviously we were supposed to be besties. Expressionless face with rolling eyes.
Follow up in the thread by Kinda Blue Screws 1 hour ago. I've been running into this with men lately. A housemate I just kicked out wasn't doing chores. He felt his time was more valuable than mine, so in his mind the chores were on me. Like, it's a pattern. So I stopped cleaning. Tears of joy just let it all pile up. Then started pointing out things like how weird it was that he said he was going to do chores, but then the toilet hadn't been cleaned in about a month. I called his bluff, and then he started complaining about how dirty it was in the space. LOL. Anyway, fuck Brian. Fuck your former pastor, and fuck my lazy housemate. Entitled Pricks.
Further response in the discussion by Fenrir_1 Maldivian Rufia hour ago. Whoa, that did Brian do.
First reply on comment number 2 by Ivalis 1 hour ago. Nice of the pastor to volunteer your home instead of his own. That's creepy all the way around. He had no idea of your work schedules. What if your husband had to work Christmas Eve? Lock your door from now on. NTA.
A reply to the previous reply by Rubber Chicken Lips 1 minute ago. OP should carry a stack of cards that has the pastor's address. Invite random people for dinner at the pastor's house. Here, take a card. Spiteful charity strikes again.
Someone responds to comment number 2 by tight_jaguar 3881 10 minutes ago. The pastor pushed his responsibility onto OP. He could have at least asked.
Comment number 3 by Big Assumption 8216 1 hour ago. NTA. This is called home invasion. Even though a pastor is supposed to be respected, Brian should have used his brain and know on the door before going in, especially if you haven't met before. This is way, way beyond common decency.
Comment number 4 by G Core 1 hour ago. NTA. But also, where was the pastor? Why didn't he invite Brian into his home? Also, he should have been inviting Brian into his plans for Christmas Eve, since it's Christmas Eve, and every church I've ever gone to, or anyone I know has gone to, has had a Christmas Eve service, so I doubt he was out of town. I'd be finding a new church with a pastor that actually practiced what he preached.
Reply number 1 to comment number 4 by the original poster. This was ages ago, and we've long since changed churches. We didn't have a Christmas Eve service that year, but I don't remember why. He had kids, and we did not, so I guess he thought we didn't have plans? I am really not sure. The pastor was not great in a lot of other ways I really only realized years later.
A reply to the previous reply by calling _water 52 minutes ago. What you've described sounds like very controlling expectations on the part of the pastor. He decided what you were supposed to do. He said jump, and you were supposed to jump rather than continue with your evening. And then he punished you for being disobedient to him. Just because he dressed it up as charity for a disadvantaged person doesn't make his behavior any less controlling of you.
Continuing the conversation by Guy 1 hour ago. In my early 20s, I probably wouldn't have realized it either, especially when I was in the middle of it all. I definitely wasn't good at boundaries or pushing back.
Comment number 5 by Starry Cupcake Kiss 1 hour ago. The pastor completely overstepped, and you had every right to protect your personal space and holiday plans.
Comment number 6 by Mrs. Cake Jane 1 hour ago. Unless the pastor is paying rent and bills, then he gets no say in who comes into the house.
First reply on comment number 6 by Gene Conscious 5484 1 hour ago. It's a hell of a lot more likely that OP was helping pay the church's bills.
Continuing the conversation by Mrs. Kakajane 1 hour ago. For sure, yes.
Comment number 7 by Benton_box 88 1 hour ago. And why couldn't the pastor host this young man?
Someone responds to comment number 7 by the original poster. He had kids and we didn't, I think, was the rationale. Follow up in the thread by HWGA8686 1 hour ago. That's a stupid rationale. Kids mean you can't host? Was there a risk? Why question if you're the asshole because this one rando pastor says you are? He seems like an ass on the best of days. last person I'd get a recommendation letter from. Still talking it through by the original poster. I think there was potential that Brian was an unknown element and he thought our lives were more worth risking than the kids. I was made to feel pretty awful about it in the moment. I was told I was selfish and cruel. And I guess it kind of dug in as a traumatic memory that dislodged when other traumatic memories were being processed years later.
More thoughts down the chain by Fickle Cabinet 3956 minutes ago. Your ex-pastor is just a typical hypocrite. He could have hosted Brian, yet pawned it off on an unsuspecting couple.
Comment number 8 by OK_Play2364 1 hour ago. Why wasn't Brian invited to spend Xmas with your charitable pastor?
Comment number 9 by TA Racer X 1 hour ago. No greater love than Christian hate.
Comment number 10 by Alindra Pell 1 hour ago. NTA. Hospitality is a gift, not an obligation sprung on you mid-dinner. Your pastor unilaterally sent a stranger to your home, apparently told him to go inside, and then shamed you for not abandoning your plans. That ignores basic boundaries and safety and shows poor judgment, especially in that weather. Your choice to keep your Christmas Eve private was reasonable. The retaliatory reference letter was petty and unethical, and would justify leaving that church and documenting the incident with its leadership, if you want closure.
Someone responds to comment number 10 by Abuja 51 minutes ago. Talk about a perfect response, NTA.
Comment number 11 by But It Says Online 1 hour ago. WTF? NTA. He sent a stranger to your home without checking you were okay with it or even that you were home? Someone responds to comment number 11 by Mira_D Falco 1 hour ago. On a bicycle, in freezing weather, FFS. Brian is definitely an AH. It should have been obvious to him as soon as he found nobody home, that you hadn't been aware that he was coming. I might have forgiven him coming in to warm up under the circumstances, but he just made himself at home, an amp, pulled an attitude about you having your own plans for Christmas Eve. He's lucky that you didn't call the police and report a home invasion. The pastor went well past being the AH. Sending a stranger to your house when you weren't there, and basically ordering you to drop everything to go home and entertain him, and then holding a grudge and tanking your standing in your community because you didn't just mindlessly comply? Oh, hell no. If he was that concerned about poor Brian being alone, he should have invited him to his own house.
Comment number 12 by Crafting Futures 133 1 hour ago. Pastor's Kid here. Your pastor was an immature ass.
Someone responds to comment number 12 by Chocolate Covered Gold 1 hour ago. I'm a missionary's kid, MK, the granddaughter and niece of several pastors, and the daughter-in-law of a pastor, and I concur. Your pastor was way out of line at every moment. Also, the standard professional etiquette is that if you cannot write a positive Tom Stomp-Snime letter of recommendation, then when someone makes the request, you tell them up front that any letter you wrote would be negative and you explain why. It is extremely unprofessional and contrary to our faith to sabotage someone the way he did. What an asshole.
Comment number 13 by Stinapai 1 hour ago. Info. Sorry, not the question you asked, but I'm stuck on this part. Why did you ask this guy for a letter of recommendation after he already showed himself to have such poor judgment? I mean NTA for the actual question, but I'm so confused.
Reply number 1 to comment number 13 by Kind of Blues Clues 1 hour ago. For a lot of us conditioned from a young age by being raised in the church, the moral heft of a recommendation letter from a pastor helps when applying to Christian colleges, Christian places of employment, sometimes adoption paperwork, etc. Or at least, we think it does. I've been harmed by personalities in their official capacity, church employees, workers, and pastors. It's really weird, because I was conditioned to believe that some kinds of abuse were love, and, well, vice versa.
Follow up in the thread by OK_beat_4103 1 hour ago. It does. Seen it in action. That's the sticky part of it. Of course, it doesn't work outside of certain circumstances, but it's easier to keep the flock in line if they never leave the pasture anyway.
Reply number 2 to comment number 13 by the original poster. So the application specifically asked for a reference from a pastor. He was the only pastor I had at the time. Also, this was months later, and honestly, I have ADHD. If the dude had beef with me, he didn't express it after that night, so I kind of figured it was a one-off situation. First reply on comment number 13 by HWGA8686 1 hour ago. The same reason she had to ask if she's the asshole when she very clearly is not.
Reply number 4 to comment number 13 by mediocre_ant_437 1 hour ago. Her job most likely required it. I work for a Christian nonprofit, not a church though, and a recommendation from a pastor was required. Comment number 14 by Muffpiece 1 hour ago. The pastor is definitely the asshole here. Springing someone on you last minute and telling him to let himself into your house is not being a good Christian. What a ridiculous, spiritually abusive thing to do. I don't think you're the asshole, but I probably would have sat with Brian and visited for a half an hour and driven him home and offered to coordinate a time to pick up his bike or whatever. It wasn't his fault. Your ridiculous pastor foisted him off on you without warning.
Comment number 15 by Pieces Off Lair 37 1 hour ago. If your pastor was so concerned, he could have opened his door to Brian.
Comment number 16 by AU_Praetorian 1 hour ago. There is no hate, quite like Christian love. Comment number 17 by Taewongan 1895 1 hour ago. NTA. Unbelievable that a pastor made Christmas plans for you without consulting you. If it were me, I'd have given the bum a ride back to the pastor's home.
Comment number 18 by GeneConscious5484 1 hour ago. And GT, am I the asshole? What the hell are we doing here? A stranger broke into your fucking home.
Comment number 19 by IRISHITALIANANGEL 51 1 hour ago. You're definitely NTA. The pastor didn't discuss this with you at first, and you came home to a stranger. I'd be blowing my cork at said pastor. I'm a Christian too, y'all, and this scenario paints true Christians rather unfairly, I might add, with the same brush.
Comment number 20 by that_OL_cat 1 hour ago. NTA. Pastor was fine with being entitled. He could have entertained Brian himself instead of foisting him off on you without prior discussion. Who does this? Entitled arseholes, that's who.
Comment number 21 by Tall_Protection 2328 1 hour ago. Not very pastorly to agree to write a nice letter and then be petty and malicious.
Comment number 22 by Wild Association 1681 hour ago. NTA and your pastor was unbelievably creepy and out of bounds. I can't even wrap my head around what the pastor thought would happen in the best case scenario. That you had roasted an entire goose and set a place for an extra person just in case Jesus himself knocked at your door? And then you had planned to play Twister after dinner but were sad that you didn't have a third player? Like, if he thought you didn't have plans, then what was he sending Brian to your house to do?
Comment number 23 by Usual Archer 916 1 hour ago. That pastor was way out of line. He could have hosted that young man. He could have coordinated with you way earlier. You had the right to say no. And the fact he sent the guy on a bike? Boy. That said, my heart breaks for the 20-year-old. But the pastor is the one at fault here.
Someone responds to comment number 23 by Phantom Leaf 148 minutes ago. Good point. Why didn't the pastor host the guy? Reminds me of some cults, where the leader does whatever they want and the followers are just pawns to bow to their leader's wishes.
Comment number 24 by Nim_Oppet 1 hour ago. NTA. The nerve of some people. But then again, maybe you two implied to the pastor that he can order your life.
Reply number 1 to comment number 24 by the original poster. Not really? I am learning now, years later, the vast amount of spiritual abuse I faced at that church.
Reply number 2 to comment number 24 by Chris Revere 1 hour ago. I mean, why wasn't the pastor taking the guy in for Christmas Eve?
A reply to the previous reply by Nim_Oppet 1 hour ago. No clue. That's why I said NTA. But who knows what these churches do or expect from their members.
Comment number 25 by Fall_Relic 1 hour ago. What exactly do you think you would be TA for? Not being near your house when someone sent a stranger over without asking you first? Not dropping everything you were doing to bring the stranger dinner? Being understandably irate when the stranger let himself into your house to sleep on your couch? Or the part where your pastor retaliated against you by sabotaging your chances to go wherever you were going with a crappy reference.
Reply number 1 to comment number 25 by the original poster. This is honestly probably the spiritual abuse talking, but I felt so bad, and I really felt like I must have missed some key social cue that made this my fault. Woman, shrugging, light skin tone.
Follow up in the thread by Muted Appeal 823 1 hour ago. You have no reason to feel bad, and this was not your fault at all. But please tell me you lock your doors now.
Still talking it through by the original poster. Oh, we do now. We live in a completely different state now, in a more suburban part of town, so the circumstances are different. But even if they weren't, I'd still lock my doors.
More thoughts down the chain by Muted Appeal 823 1 hour ago. I probably watch/read too much true crime, but whenever I hear someone mention not locking their doors, I feel like I must mention that it's a good way to get themselves onto an episode of Dateline. LOL.
Comment number 26 by Admirable_Anywhere69 1 hour ago. So your pastor advised a stranger to break and enter into your home while you were gone out, and you're wondering if you're the AH?
Reply number 1 to comment number 26 by the original poster. Yes, the spiritual trauma is a thing I am working through.
Follow up in the thread by Admirable_Anywhere69 52 minutes ago. Well, I'd like to assure you that you definitely aren't the AH. What they did is weird, creepy, illegal, and completely unreasonable.
Comment number 27 by Hoot Black Desiato 1 hour ago. You are not, and were not, the AHNTA. That pastor was awfully presumptuous to offer your house and company on Christmas Eve, when it was actually his job to help those in need, and not by dumping someone off on you.
Someone responds to comment number 27 by Tiny Pink Sparkles 20 minutes ago. Exactly. Pastor tried to palm his responsibility off on you. He probably told Bike Guy that you were waiting for him, then got found out when you weren't even home. He was embarrassed, and rather than be humbled and apologize, he doubled down and wrote you a shitty recommendation letter. NTA. Comment number 28 by Silent_Sideshow 1 hour ago. Being such a man of God, why was Brian not welcomed into the sainted pastor's home? You're NTA. No one should ever assume.
Comment number 29 by Smiles Big 1 hour ago. NTA, but your pastor is an asshole. What gives him the right to tell a stranger to go to your home and expect to eat your food without asking you first? Then he judges you? He's moronic. The bad character reference is just icing on the cake of his self-righteous importance. Respect is earned. He's earned your disrespect. What a small man.
Comment number 30 by Substantial_Egg_4661 hour ago. NTA. I would disown the church and report the pastor to a higher level.
First reply on comment number 30 by the original poster. There wasn't one.
Comment number 31 by Callan_LXIX 1 hour ago. NTA. That's bad shepherding. And poor communication. Wasn't Brian's fault either. Honestly, should have made the best of it. Give a courtesy hour or so, drive Brian home, and communicated how it wasn't appropriate. A lot of what ifs. You could have left early, or been intimate, etc. His emergency or good idea isn't your ministry assignment, especially without notice. But more serious is the vindictive aspect months later.
Comment number 32 by Green Dragon 14 1 hour ago. You don't need the church to have God in your life. You can also change churches.
Comment number 33 by Not Wasting Time Is Where 1 hour ago. NTA, and neither is Brian. I have experienced pastoral overstepping too, and it causes so many people harm. You are not in the wrong at all. I also feel for the stranger, who very likely could have felt so unwelcome it could have turned him off from church altogether. The pastor was unwise, and in his pig-headedness, hurt his own flock.
Comment number 34 by Spadecell 1 hour ago. NTA. Where was your pastor's charitable Christian nature? How dare he judge you in this scenario?
Reply number 1 to comment number 34 by Roadside_Prophet 1 hour ago. When you're a caring, charitable person, you invite people to your house for Xmas Eve, not some random people they've never met who aren't expecting company. NTA 100%.
Follow up in the thread by Spatza 56 minutes ago. It all smells very much like it was one of those, but what if it was Jesus tests? Well, for one, Jesus would have remembered you sent him on his bicycle in the winter to some stranger's house, on his birthday no less.
Comment number 35 by L. Winter 1 hour ago. I gore halfway through reading the title and already knew my verdict was going to be NTA. Great story.
Comment number 36 by WV Prepper 1 hour ago. NTA. I am assuming that, as a young married couple, you had purchased Christmas gifts for family members that you intended to take to them the following day. You probably also had items that were not monetarily valuable to you that might have seemed enticing to somebody with nothing but a bicycle. Imagine if you had come home. Brian hadn't been there, but neither were your gifts, any alcohol, your TV, or your stereo.
Reply number 1 to comment number 36 by the original poster. Heh. We were dead-ass broke and were using a gift card for dinner, so I guess we didn't have anything really with stealing. Gifts were in our car with us, but I do see your point. It was weird all around. I think the pastor was just used to getting his way and was pissed I didn't fall in line.
A reply to the previous reply by Phantom Leaf 147 minutes ago. Sounds like you left that church? Hope you found a community that appreciates and respects you, your time, and your privacy.
Comment number 37 by Charming Industry 86 1 hour ago. What an absolute AH that pastor was. You don't get to tell me who and who not to let in my home and try to guilt me over it. That Brian jerk is an AH too. You're going to get your knickers in a twist. Because people who you don't know and had no consent to stay with weren't there when you let yourself into their home. I'm glad that's all in OPS past. And NTA.
Comment number 38 by Outrageous Banana 905 1 hour ago. I wish you had stood up the next time you were in church and in front of the whole congregation put him on blast. Ask him on whose authority what right he had to send a stranger to your house without saying anything to you, and tell him it was okay to just walk on in.
Reply number 1 to comment number 38 by the original poster. So the church community was the kind that said to stay in an abusive relationship because God. In retrospect, it all seems wrong, but at the time I was considered in the wrong by most for being selfish.
Comment number 39 by Accomplished Emu 591 58 minutes ago. NTA. Your pastor had no business sending this dude to your house without clearing it with you first. That would have been the day I left the church and went in search of a real church community. The poor guy was not at fault, though.
Comment number 40 by Wild Celebration 965 1 hour ago. Just scary thinking about all the possible outcomes. NTAs. Pastor was totally out of line, not thinking appropriately. Church board should have been told about this situation.
First reply on comment number 40 by the original poster. We were part of a church that was run by 2 particular families. Reporting him would have more likely ended up with me getting another reprimand, and I was deep in a fundamental mindset where the pastor was always right.
Comment number 41 by Fickle Cabinet 3956 59 minutes ago. NTA. And this is an insane amount of entitlement on the part of your former pastor. Just wow. AITA. Why didn't the pastor host Brian?
Someone responds to comment number 41 by the original poster. He had kids, we didn't. We were supposed to be willing to host because he said so. I think probably his wife said no, actually, now that I am rehashing it.
A reply to the previous reply by Fickle Cabinet 3956 43 minutes ago. Ex-pastor is a hypocrite, plain and simple.
Comment number 42 by DSJN's 1 hour ago. Wow! NTA. That was extremely rude and presumptive of both the preacher and the dude.
Reply number 1 to comment number 42 by Peppermint Evil Butler 38 minutes ago. Especially walking into someone's house and making yourself at home where the owners aren't there. WTF.
Comment number 43 by Pipwhip 1 hour ago. NTA. He wronged you big time. What a weak person that he has to blame his own failures on others because he is so insecure he can't admit fault. But I recommend you choose to forgive him for not living up to anyone's expectations of who a person in that position should be. I don't mean tell him that he is forgiven. I mean forgive him in your own thinking so that you can leave that asshole in your wake.
Comment number 44 by Struct Engineer 91 1 hour ago. And why exactly couldn't your pastor share his Christmas Eve with this stranger? NTA, but I am super glad for your sake that he wasn't a crazy criminal.
Reply number 1 to comment number 44 by the original poster. He wasn't a stranger to the pastor, just to me. My husband had met him 1 or twice in passing, and didn't really like him. The pastor said he should be with people his own age. Honestly, in retrospect, the whole situation was absurd, but coming from a home where I was told to always obey people of authority, or else, and going to a church where the pastor thought he could excuse his bad behavior by saying he was just passionate, it was easy to feel small and bad.
Comment number 45 by E. Hagihara 56 minutes ago. That's ridiculous. If he were that much of a bleeding heart and it was so important to him, why didn't H.E. house this guy and drive him there? He essentially made it H.E. show a problem at the asterisk very last minute, did it without times any consideration for you, got pissed off when you didn't address it, and retaliated when he didn't get his way. Can't be much of a pastor to be acting like this.
Comment number 46 by Flounder According 125 1 hour ago. No, fuck that. Comment number 47 by Blue Note 73 1 hour ago. NTA. It sounds like you were in kind of a proto-cult.
Someone responds to comment number 47 by the original poster. This is not inaccurate.
Comment number 48 by hello_just_sayin 1 hour ago. NTA. The pastor was the AH in this situation to you, your husband, and Brian. What kind of pastor has someone bike to a stranger's house, uninvited? If he cared so much about being charitable, he should have invited Brian to his own house. Or he could have called you and, only if you agreed, driven Brian to your house. Asterisk note. I'm writing this based on the assumption that Brian was oblivious to the fact that OP and her husband had no idea he was coming and was told to let himself in by the pastor. However, if that is not the case, then Brian is also an ah.
Comment number 49 by Dangerous 6,380 minutes ago. So a religious representative acting like what he says is all that matters. Text notes. That tracks LOL. Being misogynistic. That tracks. Being vindictive when challenged. That tracks. I'm actually surprised when a religious person, figure, representative, acts with kindness, respect, and morals.
Comment number 50 by Elamwiz 1 hour ago. NTA. That pastor's got some balls to play dictator like that. He should have asked first.
Someone responds to comment number 50 by the original poster. Dictator is accurate.
Comment number 51 by Trip Donitator 1 hour ago. NTA. Inviting a person to someone else's house is really shitty. The pastor is the asshole here, and Brian is also if he knew the situation.
Comment number 52 by the original poster. Almighty, I so wish this was fake. Open mouth smile, open mouth smile, open mouth smile. Church trauma is a real thing, and this story isn't even the worst. I have just the one at the forefront of my memory at the moment.
Comment number 53 by Vicious 133 53 minutes ago. NTA. Your pastor is, though. Where was his Christian nature with this man? Why didn't the pastor take him in for the night? Others do not get to volunteer you or your home to strangers for you. I wouldn't have let him in either. I would have said you need to leave, period. You did nothing wrong. He's a stranger, and the fact he had the gall to even complain to anyone is gross.
Comment number 54 by Zaftig_Stig 1 hour ago. Having grown up in church, that doesn't sound like very good judgment on the part of the pastor. Especially the letter he wrote. I'm going to take a very strong guess. There were other issues in that church caused by the pastor.
Reply number 1 to comment number 54 by the original poster. Yeah, in retrospect, it was pretty bad. The church was formed by another church breaking up over Minatia.
Comment number 55 by Una22 1 hour ago. That pastor was the AH. Where was his Christian charity? To send some poor kid out on a bike in freezing temperature rather than welcoming him into his home? Where was his sense of fairness to check with you first? Where was his honesty when he agreed to write you a letter of recommendation, then filled it with vitriol? I'll bet that pastor does not believe in any God, and certainly does not believe in hell. He may be in for quite a surprise at some point.
Comment number 56 by Lopoetve 54 minutes ago. NTA. Asking before Christmas? Cool. Pushing if you've been hesitant? Actually, okay, if they took a no in the end. Sending them on Christmas Eve? Pound sand.
Comment number 57 by Outdoor Snacker 1 hour ago. Was this in Minnesota? Sounds like an example of Minnesota nice.
Comment number 58 by Juneberry 1 hour ago. Even if you're way out in the country, why are your doors still unlocked? People can be anywhere. And he could have been a killer. They ruin it for the people who actually do need help. And why didn't the damn pastor let him stay at his house instead?
Comment number 59 by Kitchen Witch. 1987 1 hour ago. NTA. But that pastor sure was. He was the one who wasn't Christian, but trying to force you and your hubby to house someone you didn't know.
Comment number 60 by your all bots 69420 53 minutes ago. Religion is the asshole.
Comment number 61 by Scary Butterscotch 474 52 minutes ago. Think of it like this. Would you ever tell someone to ride a bike in sub-zero temps to a stranger's home to hang out, without first clearing it with the homeowners? Then demand that the homeowners cancel their evening out to entertain the stranger? Does that sound like something normal people do? NTA?
First reply on comment number 61 by the original poster. No, but like, at the time the justification seemed sound? I really don't know. I just felt bad about it and thought if his reaction was so angry I was in the wrong.
A reply to the previous reply by Scary Butterscotch 474 45 minutes ago. Some church environments have a way of making you doubt yourself so that they can control you. It's only when you step away that you realize how crazy it all was in hindsight. Comment number 62 by Plenty Upbeat 332 652 minutes ago. NTA. That was completely wrong of the pastor, and I would have stopped going to the church then. I would have wrote to the elders of the church, and if it belonged to a larger church group, those leaders. I would have raised even more issues with the letter of recommendation. The pastor is the AH, as well as things like, this is why so many are leaving the organized religions, and just reading the Bible for themselves.
Comment number 63 by Runcible Mountain Wren, 46 minutes ago. The pastor handled this badly for everyone involved. Poor OP and OP's spouse, and poor Brian, who has been told he was welcome somewhere and then turns out to be awkwardly not expected at all. Just one phone call to OK's sending Brian over to visit would have made the whole thing a completely different experience. What a terrible idea to send him over without checking you were even home. It was presumptuous and rude to all involved.
Comment number 64 by Philly Pete 1246 minutes ago. When I was a kid, my parents invited a young man to Thanksgiving that they met through the church in similar circumstances. Halfway through the meal, he starts talking about stabbing people and other violent shit. My dad asked him to leave shortly thereafter and drove him back to town. Fortunately, that was the end of the story. But we never invited a stranger over for a meal again.
Comment number 65 by Boucher_Audi_Shiloh 1 hour ago. I'm a shut-in, and I'm alone for all the holidays. I actively hate holidays now, because they're so depressing. I still have a friend or two from church. If I told them, I believe they would try to make time for me, and maybe even invite me. I've never told them. I don't want them to do this because they feel obligated. Nor do I want to take any of their time away from their families.
First reply on comment number 65 by adding an otter 1 hour ago. I think that sounds really rough. Your friends would probably love to include you. Opie was not friends with this man, however. He was a man who, with bad advice, invaded their home. That is a very different situation than spending time with people that care for you.
Continuing the conversation by Boucher_Audi_Shiloh 1 hour ago. Yes, but I'm saying that as I wouldn't do it to friends, even more would I not do it to strangers. The weirdest bit to me is that he just went inside and got comfortable. In the home of strangers who weren't even there. My flabbers are gasted.
Ongoing reply in the thread by adding an otter 53 minutes ago. I misunderstood your intent. I thought you were saying it was the same situations. It is so odd that he would do that, and honestly, a red flag that bad even be okay with this situation.
Comment number 66 by Careless Ability 748 1 hour ago. NTA at all.
Comment number 67 by Shivs_baby 41 minutes ago. NTA. But good Lord, that pastor is a jerk.
Comment number 68 by Brave Expression 799 1 hour ago. I don't believe any of this. Comment number 69 by Relative Molasses 913 553 minutes ago. NTAH. Why didn't your God-loving pastor invite the young man over Christmas Eve? I could understand the pastor's thought process, but to not include you in the decision makes all his vitriol mute.
Comment number 70 by Useless 891 hour ago. No way. I'm surprised that pastor would do something like that. Either he had already been turned down a few times or he has no manners at all, in which case he's in the wrong profession. Besides that, he sent that young guy into a no-win situation.
Comment number 71 by Phantom Leaf 149 minutes ago. NTA. What a piece of work. The pastor. Hard to understand the guy. I get the feeling the pastor overpromised.
Comment number 72 by Ginger Heeslet, 45 minutes ago. NTA. I don't care who you are. Don't send/invite strangers to my house, especially without talking to me first. You don't get to make the judgment call of who is safe to let into my home, or to be around myself and my family. I promise you, your God isn't going to protect you if the security breach you caused hurts someone I love.
Comment number 73 by the 13th Cylon 34 minutes ago. NTA. Charity isn't charity when it's forced.
Someone responds to comment number 73 by Sue Formal 28 minutes ago. I agree. Charity should be voluntary, not volunteered.
A reply to the previous reply by Munatron 15 minutes ago. Tell that to the church I grew up in. It was voluntold.
Comment number 74 by Blueberryable 333 29 minutes ago. Lol, religious people are extremely stupid, entitled, and rude.
Someone responds to comment number 74 by Zesty Close Donkey 551 325 minutes ago. Some are, just as some non-religious are as well.
Follow up in the thread by Blueberryable 333 21 minutes ago. Every religious person is dumb. Most are entitled and rude.
Comment number 75 by Transportation number 556039 minutes ago. NTA. Was there no room at the pastor's table?
Comment number 76 by MLHO 5084 1 minutes ago. I hope you switched churches. There is so much wrong with this, I don't even know where to begin.
Comment number 77 by Elberg TN 58 minutes ago. Gotta love how AI makes this crap up. Maybe someone should teach AI to at least try to be realistic.
Comment number 78 by Sirius_Bat 3904 28 minutes ago. I would have reported the pastor and stranger to the police.
Comment number 79 by MRMEOW Geeth Kitty 27 minutes ago. I am a Christian, and the amount of crap I have put up with in the name of Christianity is just insane. The pastor is not a real Christian, and doesn't respect you at all. You don't invite people to other people's homes, no less, on a freaking holiday, without making sure the homeowners are okay with it. I would be livid too if I get home and there was a literal stranger in my home. I would have apologized and offered to drive that person home. What did your husband do? Also, I hate when people call me a fake Christian, just because I have boundaries and say no to people. My ex-husband never had my back or defended me to people. He turned everyone against me during the most vulnerable time of mine and my kids' lives. So instead of me and my kids getting the help we desperately needed, we were blamed for the situation we were in. All I wanted was fellowship and for people to do fun things with my kids. I was bedridden on and off for 10 full years. People told me I was a fake Christian because I didn't allow people to walk all over me. I wasn't in a positive to help people. I needed help. People would rather put blame on you than self-reflecting and take accountability over their wrongdoing. That is exactly what that pastor did. He made you the bad guy instead of taking accountability over what he did. On Christian Eve! That's just insane. The best thing to do is not try and defend yourself. Anyone who doesn't see your side or even cares about how you feel about the situation are not safe people. It's hard to do when you want to show love and be a forgiving person, but I learned the hard way over the years. I no longer put in effort trying to get people to understand my feelings or thoughts, because they oftentimes just use that against you. The Bible says to not throw your pearls before swine, and by not allowing people who don't respect your own autonomy to be cut off, you'll be essentially casting your pearls before swine. In any type of relationship, friendship, marriage, or family relationships, people need care about how their behaviors make you feel. If people can't resolve conflict in a healthy way and work through issues, then you know where they stand. I truly care if I hurt someone's feelings to did something wrong. I want to know what upset those I care about, and I spent way too many years trying to loved by those who don't show me the same level of care. It's just not worth it trying to be seen, heard, and understood by those who are incapable of such things. Then, your pastor said bad things about you. Instead of addressing his issues directly to you, just shows the type of person he is. He is projecting his own poor behaviors onto you, and it's toxic. People high up in the church can be so incredibly hateful and toxic. Sadly, when I had major health issues, people told me God wasn't healing me because I wasn't being obedient to my ex-husband, or because I had some secret sin. I mean, the list goes on and on with the horrible things people said to me. They would rather blame me than step up and be a true Christian and actually care that I was suffering and my kids were suffering. My ex-husband thought meth was a better option than being there for us during the worst season of our lives. I begged and pleaded for people to visit us from our church, and we lived literally 5 minutes from our church. I did children's ministry, and my ex-husband did Awana every week. When I couldn't go to church anymore because I physically couldn't, no one cared. Still hurts how awful I was treated and all the crap my ex-husband put us through. Here I am, a single mom with 3 kids, and I fought so hard for my marriage. I fought so hard to be a loving and supportive person to everyone and anyone. I truly loved people and just wanted people to see me how I saw them. Now, I just don't think majority churchgoers are even truly saved. They just want to appear to be good and do all these great things, but when it comes to actually being the hands and feet of Jesus, they fail. We are supposed to love our neighbor, helps those who are sick, the orphans and widows, but unless they go to church, the church won't help them. Not everyone can physically go to church every week. And when I couldn't anymore, I really saw how awful and hurtful a lot of Christians are. Anyways, off my soapbox here, but I wanted to share my story so you can also protect yourself from experiencing more hurt. Guard your heart and let people show you their fruit. If their fruit is rotten, just don't have anything to do with them. If you don't have love and follow the first 2 commandments, you are not a true believer. Jesus says the whole law is summed up in the first 2 commandments, which is to love God and love others as yourself. Sadly, people love their idols and themselves more than anything.
Comment number 80 by kind_mushroom4189 24 minutes ago, NTA. This sounds like the beginning of a Dateline story that ends with the nice young couple's bodies being found weeks later, burned up in the woods.
Comment number 81 by Eureka O 521 minutes ago. Gee, why am I an atheist? Comment number 82 by What You Pee My Glip-Plops 33 minutes ago. NTA. You don't have to call yourself unsafe to help other people. The vast majority of homeless people are homeless ****, and ****, because they just had a bit of bad luck and fell on hard times. That is a big myth. Most homeless people, if that's what he was, your story is unclear, are homeless because they have severe behavioral problems, mental illness, etc.
Comment number 83 by a 2ND thought 25 minutes ago. NTA. If it was me, I would have given the pastor such a tongue lashing he would have been calling for an exorcist. Nobody invites someone to my house without my say-so.
Comment number 84 by Ryan Brown Comicart, 18 minutes ago. NTA. To be clear, your pastor didn't know him either. For all he actually knew, he sent a serial killer into your house and got all huffy when you didn't indulge him in what was nothing more than a power trip. I'm glad he's out of your life and wish him the worst.
Comment number 85 by Slenderman Is Me Dad 16 minutes ago. Pastor is a stone-cold asshole. I would have gotten him fired for sending a stranger to break into my house. I would definitely be doing it now.
Comment number 86 by Kitty Pupper Mama Person 25 minutes ago. I lived way out in the country, and there isn't a single shot in hell I'd leave my doors unlocked. I also would not just go to bed after seeing some random guy in my house. I would rain hellfire down on the pastor for assuming he could volunteer my time or home just because he felt like it. Honestly, I would have asked Brian WTF he was thinking letting himself into my home and being pissy with me when I have a life, and also do not know Brian from a hole in the wall. You were not the asshole your pastor and Brian absolutely were.
Reply number 1 to comment number 86 by the original poster. I honestly didn't understand the lock thing either. It was my in-laws' house we were renting, and they never locked up, so my husband never did. I don't even know if anyone knew where a key was.
Comment number 87 by Square Swan 2820 minutes ago. One thing keeps showing up on TV and other media. Some pastors should not be anywhere near a pulpit. Yours sounds like a know-it-all. I hope you found a new church.
Comment number 88 by shit_ass_McFucknuts 19 minutes ago. NTA. That pastor is out of his hot-damned mind for even thinking that that was an appropriate thing to do to someone. House guests require notice unless it's a family or very close friend's emergency. He doesn't have the authority to give people permission to enter your home, and the guy he sent over should have known better than to just go in with no one there. I would have told him to leave, and then I would have left that church.
Comment number 89 by Fitfault 338 17 minutes ago. Brian could have been anyone.
Comment number 90 by Oak Boysenberry 1975 16 minutes ago. No. The pastor was way out of bounds. I have learned in my life the vast majority of religions are about power and control. Faith is something else entirely.
Comment number 91 by jazzlike_story_5821 13 minutes ago. I get asking to do something nice for someone going through a hard time, especially as a pastor. But he could have asked first to discuss the time and place, and I'm sure you would have done it too. But to do it the way he did was not only inconsiderate of you and your husband, but also of the guy he sent over and is supposedly helping. Doesn't seem like it's much helping if he's putting him in uncomfortable and awkward situations. Poor guy! The pastor is nuts. Chestnut?
Comment number 92 by Yaguch 11 minutes ago. Lordy, even Joseph waited to get permission to move Mary into the manger so she could give birth to the Son of God. NTA.
Comment number 93 by OR Nothing at All 8 minutes ago. Why was your pastor setting you up for a threesome? That is exactly what your pastor was trying to do. Your pastor was trying to see where your boundaries are and got mad when you and your husband are not into that.
Comment number 94 by Professional Sir 3395 8 minutes ago. NTA. If he was so concerned, he could sacrifice his celebration and hold an event at the church for people who don't have anything.
Comment number 95 by WasteJob 3307 2 minutes ago. Some pastor. The nerve and assumptions are beyond logical. I hope you and your husband laid into the pastor about his own lack of Christianity by sending a complete stranger in that kind of weather out to wherever you live on a bike without even speaking to you about it first. Yeah, I'd be shaking with anger too, and I would have asked my husband to just give him a ride to the pastor's house immediately.
Comment number 96 by Skippy Dragon Puff Puff 1 minute ago. I would sue the pastor for bad recommendation and libel. This is why in business you never write bad things. You just leave it as such that the reader can infer you don't support. I swear, this pastor needed to be taken to task. What an arse.
Comment number 97 by Significant Drink 5368 1 minute ago. I need to know more about this pastor. He sounds absolutely horrible. I would bet he's had some sort of scandal since this happened. What a jerk.
Comment number 98 by Eco Rybun just now. That man is lucky you didn't call the cops and have him arrested to trespassing. NTA. Surely you know this, right?
Comment number 99 by Auto Moderator 1 hour ago. Automod asterisk. Thanks for posting. Read this comment. Do not skim. This comment is a copy of your post, so readers can see the original text if your post is edited or removed. This comment is not accusing you of copying anything. Read this. https://www.reddit.com/r/wiki/wiki/FAQ #wikipostdeletion before contacting the mod team https://www.reddit.com/message/compose 2 equals %2 FR %2 famith asshole *****. So this a throwback, and the people involved besides my husband are no longer a part of my life at all. But therapy is weird, and while working through something else entirely, the memory of this situation popped out from wherever it was, laying dormant in my brain, and hasn't gone away since. So So I shall ask you, O dear citizens of Reddit, AITA here, or was the pastor out of pocket? Let me set the scene. It is Christmas Eve, early 2000s. It is below freezing outside and snow is blowing lightly around. My husband and I are alone, but we'll be going to visit family the next day. We used to have our celebration on Christmas Eve, just us, then go to the big family event the next day. There was a guy our pastor was helping out, around 20 years old. My spouse and I were early 20s as well. The only thing the pastor knew for certain about us was we didn't have kids, and we didn't have plans for Christmas Eve that involved other people. Or maybe he didn't know the second part and just assumed? Unclear. Anyway, Hubs and I went out for our annual Chinese food meal and to hang out looking at Christmas lights, then planned to watch a movie or something at home. While out at dinner, husband got a call from our pastor telling him that he'd sent the guy we didn't know, we'll call him Brian, to our house because we weren't doing anything and thought we should be kind and share our Christmas Eve with the man. Let me be so clear that this was never discussed prior. Well, he sent the guy to our house on a dang bicycle in freezing temperatures and was irate when we didn't leave our food to go visit with Brian. We were lectured about Christian love and how we were not being good Christians by not inviting Brian along. What? So we eventually go home. Brian is on our couch. Presumably he was told to just go in. We lived way out in the country, so the doors weren't locked. I'm shaking with anger. I tersely said goodnight and went to bed because I was not dealing with a relative stranger when my little introverted heart had been promised one night of peace out of the week of chaos. All of this was reported back to the pastor by Brian, who was so hurt and put out by us not being there when he arrived. I thought nothing of it, honestly, until months later I asked the pastor for a letter of recommendation, which he willingly gave, only to find out he wrote horrible things about my character and my uncharitable nature. Based, I can only assume, on that event since I served regularly at the church and helped quite a lot of people, if I'm being honest. Which this pastor would have known. So, am I the asshole? I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit, clique/message/compose quest to =r/a_amithyasshole if you have any questions or concerns. Asterisk.
Comment number 100 by Pottersquash 1 hour ago. ESH. There's so much bold, nonchalant disregard here.
First reply on comment number 100 by WV Prepper 1 hour ago. In what way does OP suck here? I don't see anything that OP did that makes them the asterisk. They didn't invite this guy, and they had no obligation to leave their dinner out early on his account. Posted, come home to find their house had been cleaned out, and Brian was nowhere to be found.
Continuing the conversation by Pottersquash 1 hour ago. Thinking nothing of this situation to point no resolution/understanding is reached, yet you ask for a letter of recommendation. How do you go from shaking with anger, don't lecture me on Christina love, to recommendation? Just more bold, nonchalant disregard.
Further response in the discussion by WV Prepper 1 hour ago. Well, in the end, they did have to host the guy, because he was there. There was nothing they could do. It was months later before the pastor was asked to write the reference letter. Why would anyone think that their pastor would hold a grudge for months, when, at the end of it all, they did honor his wishes, and Brian stayed at their home that evening? If anything, I would expect a glowing reference because I did inconvenience myself to give this man a place to hang out on Christmas Eve, something the pastor apparently wasn't even willing to do.
Deep reply in the thread by Pottersquash 1 hour ago. And GT. Why would anyone think that their pastor would hold a grudge for months when cause you would have had a very terse convo with them after, right? Right? You wouldn't just show up to church later and act like WTF didn't just happen. This is part of my so much bold, nonchalant disregard. There should have been some reckoning over this that fundamentally changed the relationship. Either pastor is right to think sending a stranger to your home on Xmas Eve is a good, sane thing, and you agree, or pastor asks way too much of people and should not serve as your vouch.